Okay, don't.
All right, you're muted.
You gotta
Unmute
unmute yourself.
I did some premature unmuting.
There you go.
Thanks. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much for having me again. You almost didn't have me now. I had it in my head that our time was 1 o'clock start, and it was only because a friend said, why aren't you in there yet? that I jumped in. I would have joined at 1 o'clock my time because our clocks jump forward. So I assumed that your time hadn't changed yet. So I don't know what.
We'd already
went wrong.
changed time, but I
Oh,
thought
you'd
we
already
worked that out
changed.
this morning. I thought we worked
Yeah,
that out this morning.
we
Probably
did work
3
it out,
weeks ago.
but I'm stupid. So
It's so good.
it's all good anyway. When it comes to asking questions and stuff, I'm well used to people throwing questions at me. But I mean, yeah, unless it's something that's relevant right there and then that might be a bit difficult to go back on, leave it until the end. But we'll see. So what I'm doing this evening is I don't actually, well, I do. I kind of have one. I have a rough one up here that I'll show you. We're going to do this stacked barrels off center turning. Now, this is a very rough one. This was from a piece of builder's lumber, and it was a practice piece I was doing ages and ages, probably one of the first ones I did. But this is what we're going to do. Something similar to this, except the top barrel is going to be a box. We're going to put a little lid in it, and it's going to actually be hollow. Okay. And if we have time, we'll turn a separate barrel on its side. So these will be standing on top of another larger barrel. But we'll see how time goes, and we'll get on with it. I'm using a piece of yew. Let me change the camera for you. I haven't used this stuff for ages, so I'm just getting used to it all again. So it's a piece of yew, Irish yew, that we're going to be using, and it's about 50 mil square by, it doesn't matter. Okay. But just for argument's sake, this one it's about 200 mil long, which is what's that, about 400 about 8 inches, is it? I think, I don't know, it doesn't matter anyway. And I'm going to start off by rounding it off from the centers, and we're just going to get a round cylinder to start with. There'll be a lot of camera moving and stuff this evening because, like I said, it's been a while since I've done this live demonstration stuff. All right. Dane, you can hear and see me all right? Yeah, just want to check because I did have to set all this up for the first time.
Yes, sir. It looks great, Steve.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. We'll crack on then. Just going to use my spindle roughing gouge. It's a 1-inch spindle roughing gouge. I'm not wearing a shield tonight because of the headset, but I do have glasses on, and I've done this kind of work many, many times, so I know where to stand safely. Okay, but I do advise, as usual, to wear all safety equipment, but sometimes it's not easy when you're demonstrating. So I'm spinning at around 1500 RPM there, and we're just going to rough this off. Bring the speed up a bit now that we're a little bit rounder. Always have about a finger thickness from your workpiece with the tool rest. Almost there. Get this cut a little bit nicer just by taking my time. And then I'm just going to angle my tool a little bit and we'll get a shine on it then, so we get a really nice cut. Almost round. I can feel a little tiny. Oh, can I? Yeah, just a tiny little flat there. So we'll go again with that. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, lovely piece of yew. I'm going to square up both ends just a little bit. This is just a regular bead imparting tool. It's not a diamond bead imparting tool. It's just flat on all surfaces. And just take that down to as small as I can go without hitting. Okay, so that bead imparting tool is what we're going to be using mainly this evening. We're going to be using it as a bead imparting tool. We're going to be also using it as a little mini skew in skew orientation. We're also going to be using it for measuring, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So next thing I want to do is I want to take this back out from between centers. And I want to mark where my first barrel goes. Okay, now I'm offsetting my first barrel. I want my barrel to be about 30 millimeters round at its widest point. That again will make sense as we make the barrel. So what I want to do is I want to orientate my calipers where the largest part is going to be. And obviously, because half of 30 is 15, we're going to mark roughly a mark just here as a center. Okay, like I say, only has to be roughly. Now, I will say that you don't have to be experienced in multi-axis turning to do this. It's actually, as multi-axis turning goes, this is quite an easy project, we'll say. All right, and then roughly, we're going to bring a pencil line across where we just marked that one. And we're going to do the same again, because we can see that that's there. We're going to go about that far. We're going to do the same there. It works out right on the edge of this one as well. All right, and that's going to be our centers for what we're about to do. All right, so that's where I'm going to pop it next on the lathe. Now, because I've got the piece that I've just squared up, we will have to kind of squish it a little bit, but we'll not worry about that. We're going to tighten that down. And now we're offset. Offset by 15 mil. When you think about it, we're going to get our tool rest set. So we're parallel to the piece. And if Barbara Dill was to be explaining this, this would be a parallel off-centered turn-in. So we haven't twisted it. We're just going straight between centers and we've just offset it slightly. Okay. So remember to bring your speed down again because we've gone off center and it is going to be a bit wobbly for the lathe. And we're going to check it at a slow speed and we'll slowly bring our speed up. And I'm turning at about 1200 there-ish, in and around. Again, I'm going to take my bead imparting tool. Let me bring this over here for you, so you can see what I'm doing right there. Okay. And we're going to, you can probably just about see the solid wood there. If I maybe shine my light on it, you can see a spindle of solid wood right through the center there. And that's what we want to turn down to. So I'm going to make my first cut. All the way down to solid
Steve,
wood.
you
Yes.
moved Steve, you moved your camera away from where you're turning.
Ah,
Thank
great
you.
job. That was really clever. Thank you.
We got it, Heather.
I've mirrored the camera. That's why I got confused there. All right. So now I've cleaned that end up. The width, the length of my barrel is going to be 50 mil. So I'm just going to put 50 mil on my caliper here. And I'm going to put a mark. 50 mil is 2 inches. And Dane's going for a drive.
It's getting cold. I gotta turn the heater on.
Oh, don't blame me. It's cold here too. Okay, so we're going to go about 50 mil in length. And again, we're going to come down to solid wood again. Just there. And then we're going to clean up in between that. And we can use our roughing tool, spindle roughing gouge for that. Now that we've got our widths. And you can just take all that stuff away by using the edge of your gouge. You can come in like that, but what happens is your wings can get caught on the side. So you're better off just turning 90 degrees and just using one wing. All right, get it down to somewhere near, and then we're going to use our bead imparting tool again, and we're going to turn it at an angle. Oh, well, that bit is there, but we're going to turn it at an angle, and we're going to go across just like a skew. And get as clean a cut as we possibly can. I don't think we're quite down to round yet, because I can feel it jumping. We'll turn it off and have a look. See, it's doing a little jump. So we're not quite at round yet. You're not quite there. I only want really the middle to be the width I need it, because we're going to be curving the barrel to make it look barrel shape. Still got quite a bit to go, actually. It's not getting there where I want it to be. Now we're there. All right, that's good. Okay, so we're just starting to cut into our pencil line here. So we've now got a full cylinder. It's probably a little bit narrower than I want it to be, but that's okay. We can make all the barrels the same. As long as all your barrels are the same width, it's all good. So we're going to make sure we set our caliper to that. I'm going to clean this end off here where we had our original piece. Okay, so before we start shaping our barrel, we're going to make a spindle this end as well. And we're going to turn it about the same size. Not as big. We'll go about that deep, maybe a little bit deeper. Yeah, a little bit more. And we want that to be round as well. See how much we've got to go, a little bit. Okay, we're round enough on that. Let me just get my size. Okay. I'm just going to go over to my bandsaw. I forgot to cut this. I'm just going to cut something and I'll explain to you in a second what it is. Super duper. Okay, so we're going to take that back out. Ooh. That was super zoomed in. And what I have here is I have some inserts for my chuck. Because I don't have a mini chuck, I don't have any, well, I do have a mini chuck, but it's not great at holding stuff like this. I make inserts like this for going inside my long jaws. It goes in, finishes flush on the front of my long jaws. And there is a slot cut in the side. I've got two sizes on there. So there's two different sizes each end. I've got others as well, but another one here. This is the same, and that's got two other different sizes. And you just cut a slot so that when you squeeze it up, it grips. And it doesn't need to be a massive slot. I mean, you can cut that slot a bit bigger, but I think that will do for what we want this evening. So we're just going to slide that in there. And we're going to knock out our drive center. If you're having to whack your drive center with your bar, with your knockout bar, you need to clean your drive center. So just run a bit of steel wool or very fine sandpaper over that because it's binding. And if you're having to whack it and smack it, it's getting stuck for a reason. Don't ask me how I found that out. Okay, so we're going to put the chuck on. And we're going to slide this in. Now, it should expand slightly, hopefully, if we're the right size. Oh, we're good, yep. And then we're going to bring our tailstock up just to get it centered. I'm going to push it all the way in. Just like that. And then we're going to tighten it down. And you should see this slot here closing up. That's closed a little bit. There you go. It allows the wood to move and grip. There we go. So now this is in line with this. Show you on the overhead. Whoop. Let me move you in a bit, and then I can show you. There you go. So these are in line, and then this part is off center, okay? So now we're going to work on our barrel, and we're going to actually shape it. Bearing in mind that this is going to be bigger than this, so make sure that your tool rest isn't in the way. And again, we're going to use our beading parting tool to create the barrel. Okay. So we're going to go roughly the center of the barrel. A lot of camera mess in here. Sorry. I don't know what happened to this. Oh, actually, I do know what happened to this. I had a slight...
Camera's fighting it.
No, I tell you what happened. I had a piece come off the lathe, and it was quite a mad piece, as you can imagine, the kind of stuff I do, and it broke the stand, and I just realized I've got it taped. So
Yeah, I bet.
there we go.
There you go.
Now we're good. We're a bit zoomed in now. Okay. So we're going to form our first barrel. Okay. So I'm going to use the width of this tool as the bands. See, we have 3 bands on these. The width of the tool is going to be the size of my bands. Width of my tool is going to be the size of these bands. So I'm going to come roughly where the middle is, and I'm going to twist the tool slightly, put one mark there, and then I'm going to go to the end, and I'm going to twist backwards to give my outside mark. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to twist to give my inside mark. So now I have my three bands marked, okay? And I'm just going to go in very slightly on each side of the middle one. Just like that. And just have the band showing, okay? And then on the bottom one, I can come over here and show you. I'm going to go in a bit deeper. And then I'm going to curve all this, and I'm using my beading parting tool as a little mini skew. And I'm just tapering that down and curving it so the barrel looks as if it's barrel shaped. And then obviously our bead then, our band needs to be reduced just slightly to make it all proportional. And then we'll do the same this side. So we're going to come down and we're going to shape. Just like that. And then bring this one down. Because you don't want a big thick band top and bottom. And just round those off just slightly. Now, usually you would sand these. I'm not going to do any sanding tonight. Just for speed. And there you've got your first barrel, okay? So you can sand it up then, sandy. It's pretty clean cut anyway. That's not quite in the middle because I'm rushing. But hey, pretend it is, okay? Pretend everything's perfect. Okay, and you can either scorch these rings using a piece of towel, which I don't have here. But anyway, or you can use Sharpie. I'm just going to use Sharpie tonight. And you can blacken those in. Obviously, you do all this after you've sanded.
How would you use a towel to blacken the piece?
Okay, so you can do it with friction. Let me find a piece of towel and I will show you exactly what I mean. I've got an old piece of towel here that I'll use. And it's just paper towel. Just a normal piece of paper towel, and you bunch it up. And I'm just going to scorch the center of here because obviously I've burnt this. Actually, do you know what I'll do? I'll just clean that off again, just for demonstration purposes. We'll just clean the middle one off just slightly. There you go. All right, so you bring up your speed quite fast as the lathe can handle. Got a bit of a wobble there. And you bunch up your paper towel. And you just hold the paper towel on it until it starts burning. Probably need a bit more speed. There you go, that's starting to burn. There you go. So you can see it's gone. I could hold it on and go a bit darker, but it has gone just burnt there. And you just literally just friction burn with your paper towel. You can keep it on and go darker and darker. It's a nice way of there you go. There you go. Nice little burn mark each side and then slightly brown in the middle. I hope that showed up on camera anyway. I think it did. So there you go. That's how you can use paper towel to burn it. It actually looks nicer. It looks more like a barrel color with scorching rather than going with black. And someone said in the chat there, it just popped up there that Formica works. Formica works okay, but you can get lines with it if you're doing kind of detail stuff like that. Whereas with the towel, it's all proportional and flat. It's nice. And you can use a piece of ply. You can use all sorts of different ways of doing it. Okay, so now we're going to pull out our tail stock. And we're just going to drill this out. See if this drill bit would do the job. Yeah, it should do what we need it to. Now remember, don't have your lathe going too fast for drilling. And we're just going to drill that out quickly.
Yeah, it looks like it's out of center right now.
Yeah, it has. It's just gone a little bit wibbly wobbly. All right. That's because I was lazy and I didn't clean up the end and I had the bit here and it grabbed it. What should look. I'll get it close enough again.
Well, you got it out of the way early in the demo, Steve.
I should look at it's a lie if it doesn't go wrong.
Right?
It's not Disney here. Oh, I didn't move my tool rest. Oh, lol. Like I said, I haven't done live for a while. Can you tell?
Well, we can get you scheduled more regularly.
Hey, I don't mind that. I need the
Okay.
practice.
Okay, right on.
Second that.
Yeah,
There
we'll
we
work
go.
on it, Steve. I appreciate it.
There we go. That should be more centered now. And like I say, near enough's good enough for tonight. As long as you've got the theory, we should be good. I'm going to clean this off, hopefully. No, I'm not. Nope. I know what I'm going to do. Here's one I prepared earlier. A Boy Scout always comes.
You're blue petering us.
A Boy Scout always comes prepared.
Attaboy.
All right, so we're basically at the point we were going to be at. This one is drilled. I could have spent all night trying to reset that, and we all know what would have happened. It wouldn't have worked for me.
Correct.
So anyway, so this is a piece of cedar that we've got in here now. The U has just magically turned into cedar. All right, we haven't got any scorch marks on this one. It's not going to get any. And we are hollow in that. So I've drilled that out and I've cleaned it, okay? So the next stage we're going to go at is we're going to do our second barrel. And we want to offset our second barrel. And we want it to skip over halfway underneath this one. So we're going kind of like this. Okay. Now, when you're working this out, you have to be very careful because you can go too small and end up with your next barrel being tiny and it just doesn't look right. No, I haven't got an example of that. Who'd keep their mistakes, eh? Okay, so what we're going to do now is, all we're going to do is we're going to tip this over slightly in the chuck. And I'm going to show you what I've made that I use. I have a normal drive center, and normally there's a pin in the center of this and you knock it out. And this is just a piece of African blackwood that I've made, and I've just made a plug with a flat front on it. And that is going to be used just for support, for pushing this against the center. So I knocked the little pin out and I made a little blackwood plug that pulls in and out of there. And what that does is it stops from damaging the top rim of the barrel, but also keeps it pushed where you want it to go. So we're going to just tip it over slightly. Let me undo this a little bit more so we've got a bit more movement. Now, like I said, I want my barrel to be roughly halfway. So I've got to envision my barrel coming through here. So I'm going to wind this out. A bit of pressure.
If you put that center, that plug center on the rim, Steve, doesn't that get you your center right where you want it?
Yes, it will. So my center will be there. Exactly.
Okay, great.
roughly in and out. It roughly, yeah. So that actually is big enough. It fits inside. That was a fluke. But I want this to be off center. So I'm going to just work out roughly where off center is going to be. And we go through center. So you can imagine a line going through. If we have our chuck here and we have a line going straight through the center of here, we want to make sure that our barrel doesn't come too far over. And I think I'm pretty good there. I think I'm good there. Come in just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to tighten that tailstock down, push it into the chuck, and then I'm going to tighten up my chuck. There we go. Now I want to mark my 50 mil again in my length. The length of my barrel. And then we're going to go again. And we're going to start at the bottom of the last barrel to start with. And we're going to come back about 1/4 of an inch, 5 mil-ish down from that barrel. And we're going to start cutting and just stop there. Because now we can adjust it if we think it's not going to be quite right. We can see where our centers are coming. I think I'm probably going to be okay. So I'm going to keep going with that one. Again, go a little bit more just to see where I am. Still good. I want to get down to solid wood. Now I'm to solid wood already, and I've got way more than 30 mil. So I know I'm going to be good there. So what I can do now is I can bring that whole 50 mil, 2 inches that I've marked all the way down to solid. You can use whatever tools you want. I just find that using this parting tool, because you have to be sometimes a good distance away from your workpiece with your tool rest, you've got a lot of overhang. This bar is quite strong for a certain amount of overhang. And you've also got to remember that if you have got overhang on your tool, that you're across the top of the support of the tool rest, the center spindle of the tool rest, so that if you do get a catch, it's going to put all that force down through the spindle, not on the edge of your tool rest, and snap your rest. A lot of people, when they're doing off center and multi-axis stuff, they snap their tool rests because they work off the edge of the tool rest, get a catch, and then bang, it's game over. Gives you a bit of a jump too. Okay, so I've got this little piece here. I'm going to start working my way back very slowly to the bottom of my other barrel. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come and I'm going to start bringing this down to the width that I want. I reset this because when I got there we go. So I'm going to my widest part of my barrel, which is the center, and I want all this to match in. Bit more speed. Speed is your friend when you're doing off center and multi-axis. Safe speed, I should say. The faster it's going, the better your cut's going to be through the air. Now, we're not cutting air anymore here. I understand that. We're through to solid wood already. Now don't forget that these are called beading parting tools for a reason. They're not just to be put up into your tool rack and used for parting off pieces of wood and finished projects. And they're not just for creating tenons. You can use them for so much more. They're a universal tool, no more than my 1/4-inch skew that I showed you when I was doing the cubes inside a cube, which I think everybody in Worldwide Woodturn has got now, because I think they bought out Amazon in steel and made their own. I'm going to call that the signature Stevie skew. This is just like a 1/4-inch skew. You can turn it to the side and you can get a real nice finish. Just like that. There you go, got a nice shine. There's a nice bit of curl in this maple cedar. All right, so you can see that I'm at the bottom of my barrel here. I've just reached the bottom of my barrel, but I've still got some wood here. That makes sense because we've gone slightly off angle, but that's all right. We'll just break that off with our thumbs because we've turned it small enough. Okay, and what you can do is you can come in there with a little bit of sandpaper and you can just clean that up. You will clean it up much better than I'm going to tonight, but you can even use a file or a sharp knife, skew, anything like that to just clean that up. Okay, just round off the edge of your barrel as well. Do all that cleaning while it's in there, while it's in that position. All right, so that's got rid of that little piece that was at the side, which got a tiny little bit there that I want to get rid of. There you go, because it all creates the illusion that it's a barrel sitting on top of a barrel. Now we've still got to come down a little bit more. Oh no, we're about right. I did size it right. That's all right. Just this end's got to come down. Okay, and then we're going to do the same again. Work out roughly about center. I mean, you'd measure it, obviously, if you want it to be accurate. And then I just put a line there, come to the side of this one, line there, side of this one, line there. And then again, we create our barrel. Go down just slightly, down just slightly. Do your middle one first, get your band showing. Then go down the end one, a little bit deeper, and start fading that in and curving it down. Kind of an elongated bead that you're making. And bring that down. Just like that. And the same this side. Don't need any fancy tools, just use your parting tool. And you get a really nice effect. And then bring our end pieces down so that they're not big, clumpy rings. Just like that. And then you can just roll over the edges of each of your bands. Just like that. Ooh. There we go. That should be barrel number 2. So we've got just a little bit of overhang here. So I didn't quite go far over. So I'm just going to find that overhang and clip it off. Just take it off. just by hand, take off the majority of it, and then come back in with you. This is where your sharp tool comes in. If your tool's not sharp, you're just going to flake that off. And then sand that again. Now, what will happen sometimes is it'll be the right size where the barrel is, and it'll be slightly wider because you're off-centered. But what you just do is you can come in and you can just sand that down. I don't know if I've got my Raspberry file there just quickly. Probably not. I won't waste too much time doing that. But no, I won't bother doing that. But anyway, you can just take a file and you can just bring the top of that barrel at that edge just down, just very, very slightly. I mean, to be honest with you, you could probably leave it. It doesn't look that terrible. All right. And again, you color your bands and then you're going to move on. Now this one, we're going to go a little bit more extreme. And I'm going to take it out of the chuck. That comes off quite easily. Very handy way of reducing your chuck if you haven't got a small chuck. And you can go all the way down to like a tiny little hole. This is actually how a lot of the Chinese and Japanese turners use turn their spindles, is they don't actually have chucks. They just have a block of wood or some kind of timber stuck on the drive center. They drill a hole and then they make a tenon and they just hammer it in tight. And that's literally all they do with all their pieces. Trying to think, there's a professional turner as well that doesn't use chucks. He only uses jam chucks. Is it Lyle Jameson? I think maybe, I don't know.
Nah, he's a faceplate man.
Oh, he's a faceplate man, is he? Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're not using the insert. We're going to put the whole piece in the end. Make sure we've got room for our 50 millimeters. I'm just nipping that up at the moment. And what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to kick it over slightly. Now you can go real extremes depending on the size of wood. Now, obviously, if you've got a bigger spindle, you've got more chance of really pushing it over and making it like the barrel's twisted. For this, I'm just going to kick it down probably. And what you're looking at is you want to make sure that both these barrels aren't running true, because if either of those is running true, your next one is going to be the same as that one. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure that all this is all still wibbly wobbly. And that is a technical term, wibbly wobbly. That's better.
That was my next question, Steve.
Yeah. That's going to be in my book. Depends on the amount of wibbly wobbliness to where the cut is. Now, that's good. Again, I'm going to use my tailstock for support, just for that added support and pressure. Don't have to tighten it up tight, but what it does is it stops it from moving in and out as well. So we're gripped in all directions. And that little stop really works well on the edge. Okay. Right, I think we're going to go with that. I think that's probably going to work where we want it. If it doesn't, oh well. It was fun while it lasted.
It'll work.
You can't take life too seriously, folks. Okay, so we're going to mark 50 mil again, 2 inches.
Yeah, who says a speed square can't be used in turning?
Yep, exactly. Especially when all your tape measures are on your son-in-law's new house build, along with half my other tools and drill bits and everything that he's borrowed. Okay, so we're going to turn our volume speed down as much as we can, and we're just going to bring the speed up again. This is where the wood starts dancing on the camera.
Yeah, it looks good.
Now, depending on speed, sometimes it starts looking as if it's spinning backwards, and that really messes with your head. Okay, so again, we're going to come back about 1/4 of an inch back from where the bottom of our last one, and we're going to start cutting in again, just to get a guide of depth, remembering to give yourself some wiggle room that we don't bind up. Now, I think we're down to solid wood there. We're almost anyway. That's definitely solid wood. So we're definitely going to be good for the width of our barrel. So again, we're going to turn down our spindle. Now, these are fun, these barrels, because what you can do is, I've done a couple of variants of these. I did a Captain Hook version as well. If you look on my Instagram, if you're not following me on Instagram and you are on Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me. It's Steve T just on there, or I think you'll even find it if you look up Temple Boy Turning. But I think it's Steve T. And if you look on there, you'll see the Captain Hook one I done. And basically what it is it's Captain Hook's peg leg on the bottom, I think it is. And then it's a barrel on top of that. And then I think I have his hook, or his hook's on top, I think. I have pieces of 8 on top of the barrel. So they all look like stacked pieces of 8. And then I have his hook, I think. I can't remember which way round it was. But you can have a lot of fun with making ornaments and talking pieces doing this kind of thing. You can do stacked rocks, pebbles. You can do all sorts of stacked ideas. So you can see that we've got a really wide piece of spare wood here, and we're almost at the bottom of our barrel here. We're going to get that down to as close as we can. Nothing wrong with stopping and starting and making sure that you're not making any mistakes. If you do have trouble seeing the wood when it's spinning, you can highlight it with Sharpie. So you can, all this waste wood, you can get your Sharpie, and I'll just put that drill bit over there. I'll catch that later. So you can color in all your waste wood with a bit of with a Sharpie. Sometimes
I was wondering when you were going to break that out.
So if you do struggle to see your edges, you can do that. And when it's on, it will give you a nice black line to follow. Now, I've only got to take a tiny little bit more off this edge. Just like that. And again, we're pretty much to the bottom of our barrel. We're probably going to have to do a little bit of filing, or I might just use my sharp skew. We're going to get this one down to thickness first before we start messing with that kind of stuff. Now, Dane, if you make sure you keep me posted with time, so I know where we're at.
You were doing beautifully. You got plenty of time.
Good. Bring the speed up a little bit now that we've got that round, and we haven't got as much rogue wood, as I call it. I'm just roughing this down to size. All right, pretty much there now. All right, we're nearly there. Okay, that'll do us. A nice cleaning cut on this. I do love it when I do that. Now, that's a nice finished cut. Can you see the curls in that on the camera? I don't think you can. It's very pretty
Yeah, we
wood.
see him. We see him. We see him. That
Yeah.
that looks great.
Okay, so we're at width there, and you can see that we've got some leftover wood here. So I'm just going to have one last. I'm sure my file was here. Don't know why I would have put that in the box, but sure, look, that's, here it is. It's okay, everybody, stop panicking. I found it. Stop looking. So this is just a rough file rasp that I use for this kind of stuff. It takes wood away quite fast. The only thing is, if you slip, it wrecks the rest.
7, and I want let's see.
I'll have a cheeseburger. There we go. We're just getting rid of that excess wood. And what we want to do is we want to also take it down just here, just slightly, and flatten it up. Just like that. Now, obviously, the more drastic your angle on or your offset, the more of this cleaning up you're going to have to do. And all you do then is you need to just blend it in to match each barrel, which can be a bit tricky sometimes, but with a little bit of patience, you can really work it out. There we go. Just get that piece there. So that piece becomes the top barrel, and the other side becomes the bottom barrel. And you can really kind of blend it in. It's actually a lot easier than it looks. It does fall into place. There you go. So that becomes the bottom barrel. don't know if that's showing up on camera now, but you can just see that it's and all you're doing is you're just creating an optical illusion. Now, what I do then is when the whole piece is finished and you've done all your sanding and your shaping, I take a knife. I'm just going to sand this a little bit so it doesn't look as manky. And don't forget, we are going to be turning this into a barrel, but I wanted to get rid of all the excess wood first before we start doing our rings. And we are going to have a tiny little bit more sanding once we get our ring done as well. But at least this gives us an idea of where we're heading.
Manky is another one of those technical terms, right?
Manky, yeah. Manky is a London word for so that's pretty good there. You can see that looks as if it's standing on top of that. So now we need to define this. Well, what I was going to show you was how I clean it up. Where did I put me knife blade? Do you know what? I'll just use my large skew to show you. That's sharper than any knives I have around here anyway. So what I'll do is when I've finished defining all the barrels, I'll take a sharp blade, put it right into the corner there, and I'll roll it around like this. And that gives the optical illusion that there is actually that the barrels are two separate pieces. It doesn't just look like wood. I'm not sure if the camera, let me see if this one will zoom in.
You're trying to create sharp corners or sharp edges. Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. So what happens is it defines the two. Let me see if I can zoom
Yeah, it gives
in.
it a little shadow line between the two to make them look separate.
Exactly. You can describe it better than I can. So there you go. So all we do is we take our sharp blade, put it right into the corner where the two meet, and you just roll the edge into there like that. And it makes them look crisp and new. And then you just roll in your sandpaper then and just clean it all up then. All right, but that it gives it an optical illusion that they are individual barrels rather than all one piece of wood. Okay, so now we're going to form this barrel here. Finish that one off. Again, start in the middle. Oh, wrong camera. Start in the middle, mark our middle band. Mark one end band here. Mark one end band here. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Get myself a drink. That's better. Okay. So start in the middle. Form our middle bead. And then come down at the end and roll it up. Now, there's nothing to say that you have to make all your barrels the same size either. Do you know you can do different size barrels? You can do different color barrels. If you've got pyrography machine, you can put the labels on the barrels. It kind of looks cool if you put whiskey, if you write whiskey, or rum or whatever onto the barrels. It kind of looks cool. You can put as much detail on these things as you want. And they really are a talking point. I've got a couple of these in my house. And if new people come and visit, they always say, oh, they're cool. How did you do those? And then I explain how I do it. And they just look at me with that blank look on their face, as if to say, what are you talking about? And I love that blank look on people's faces. It means I'm doing my job properly. So there you go. That's another barrel formed. So now we have three barrels. Just going to define that one with my edge, the way we did the last two. Won't spend too much time doing it. There we go. So with three barrels, top one is hollow to give the illusion that they are all hollow barrels. All right. And now what I'm going to do with this is our straight barrel we're going to go with. So I'm going to form a pin or a really small tenon on the bottom of the set, because that's what's going to be used to go into our larger barrel at the bottom. And we don't want to have them standing straight. We want them to look wonky. So I'm going to form a tenon on the bottom of here. Only a small one. Now, obviously, you would sand all this, you would color it. Now, I'm going to find a drill bit because I never do this. Find a drill bit that's the right size for my, and then actually size it. Because I always turn these and then it's either just a fraction too small for a drill bit or a fraction too big when I drill the hole. Okay, we'll go with that size. So we want our bottom barrel sitting straight, is what I was trying to say.
Hey, Dane, we know I can see you. What's going on? He lost his spotlight.
What happened
Oh,
there?
okay.
Let me get Steve back here.
There we go.
Have you been hearing me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have.
Oh,
You
that's
just-
okay, yeah.
You just spotted out because Scott started talking.
No, and I
Oh.
saw you first. You showed up
No,
on the spotlight first.
It was momentarily. It's all right. Carry on,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll blame it on everybody. It's everybody's fault. That way it's nobody's fault. So there we go. I'm turning it much longer than I need, but I can always cut it down to length. So that's my 3 barrels done. There's a little bit of sanding to do, but I shall do that at a later date. But you get the idea. Okay. So I'm just going to chop that off. Take the pressure off. It should just, there you go. So there's 3 barrels. with our hollow one at the top. Okay. And then we've just made a little nubbity nub on the bottom that is we're gonna use to glue into our big barrel. Okay. How are we doing for time?
You are perfect. Just carry on. You got it.
Great job.
All
That's
you.
what I like to hear.
Yes, sir.
Superdy duper. All right, so I should have a spindle or a block anyway that will be good enough for what we need to do. Let me check the length, make sure we're good.
Indeed,
Yeah, we're
sir.
good. Okay, so we're going to find the center of this. I'm only going to do it roughly. About there. About there. All right, so I've only got just a small block. Don't need to chuck anymore. Can take that away. Chuck that away. Ba-dum.
Yeah. Yeah.
A live center back in. That's the one that fell on the floor. Take our support live out. Okay. This should be the easy barrel. He says, famous last words. So it doesn't matter what size this is. It's going to be a bigger barrel, so you can make it any size you want. All that adds to kind of the look of the finished piece. Let me put my smaller rest in there. Actually, it'd be a lot easier. We're just going to round it off. Boop. Okay, proportion wise, we're pretty good width and length on that, I think. A little bit of breakout on the end, but we're not too worried. We're going to reduce that anyway. We're not actually an equal cylinder there. Okay, parting tool again. I'm going to go with a slightly wider bead in the center now. So I'm going to put a mark just there and a mark just there. It's roughly the center. We're going to put one there. Actually, I'm going to clean that end up first. Clean this end up. We're going to be doing things with the end anyway in a little while. And then we want one there. And one there-ish. Okay, so again, It's the same principle. Form our middle bead. We can go a little bit deeper with this one for effect. And then we're going to just bring our parting tool in just at an angle there and an angle there. And then we can start shaping this. Same with this one. And you can see I'm just using that parting tool just like a skew. But it's actually more like a bidan. I don't know if anybody's used a bidan before. I'm not quite
Yeah.
in the middle. Not quite in the middle with my middle ring, but maybe we can just make it a bit smaller and like that.
So when you call this a beading tool, you're just rolling that edge around the bead, just like you're doing
Exactly.
right there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So these are actually called, if you look them up through history, these are called beading parting tools. They're not just a parting tool, and they are literally used for traditionally for creating a bead. So you would hold it just like this on your bevel, and you would roll the point, the corner around one way and roll it back the other way. And it's a really nice way of forming a bead. I can actually do it very small here. So you'll have your bevel touching and you just bring the tool round like this and tool round like this, and you can form a really nice bead.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. You can do so much with a parting tool. Okay, so now we're going to bring our ends down because we want it to look barrel shape. So we're going to shape these as well. This is where it will start looking like a barrel, not just a symmetrical cylinder. Now I make whiskey decanters and beer decanters barrels just like this, except I'll cut the top off, I'll hollow it out. I'll use some sort of plastic device to sleeve the inside, then seal it all up. I'll drill a hole in the top and a hole in the end, and I'll put a plug in the top and a spout in the bottom, fill it with beer, and you can make miniature what we call chug barrels. And what you do is you fill it with, yeah, so you fill it with a full can of beer, and you pull the top cork out and you hold it up, and as soon as you pull that cork away, it lets the air in and allows the beer to flow out. And the challenge is that you drink the whole can and hold the barrel, and that's a dangerous party game, but a fun one.
We call
So
that
there you go.
shotgun here. You hold your,
Okay, yeah,
you turn your beer upside down. You take your key and put a hole in the bottom, and then or on the side, you put the hole, and then you put it up, and then you crank the top of it and let it gush
gotcha.
down.
Yeah, so it's the same principle, except you use these. They're nice. You have like little mini ones that hold a whole can, and we
Right
call
on.
them chug barrels, and they're just like a nice
It's a
talking
great
point
idea.
again. Okay, so we formed our barrel there. Now I'd probably be able to demonstrate the burning a lot easier with the towel on this one because we've got no off center, so we can really bring the speed up. So I'm going to turn the speed up. That's going about 2,100. I'll bring my tool rest up to support my hand. I'm going to bunch up the towel. I'm going to hold it against this and I'm going to push. There we go. There's one. And you can, the good thing about using the towel is you can define as well. So I can get that end, I could get that edge done and have it dark. I can ball this up and I could come to this edge and I can have that dark and then I can just fade the inside then if I wanted to. Do you see? So you can kind of control the burn too. There you go.
Fire, fire, fire.
Fire, fire. Yeah, exactly. Just want to get that last little bit. There you go. And it's quite a nice shiny burn too, because you're burnishing it, right? There you go. And it gives it that real kind of barrel look rather than a stained barrel look, rather than just a full black color. There's some white, there's some burn, you know? So
Yeah.
now there's a little bit of chip out here. We're not going to worry about that. So that's that. Now what you can do then is you can take your pyro pen and you can come down and you can form the lats of a barrel if you want. I like seeing the grain of the wood. So now what we're going to do now with this barrel, just quickly, is we're going to knock out our live center again. Whoever's yawning, that should be me yawning. It's like 1:30 in the
Sorry.
morning.
Yeah. I'm not sleeping in my own bed, so I'm really not sleeping good at all.
Oh dear. That's never good. So we're going to put our chuck back on and we're going to hold our barrel in the chuck. Just lightly. We're not going to clamp it down tight because we're going to damage it if we do that. I just want it held. Now, if you think of a barrel, they have a lid put into them, and the lid generally tends to be inset into the top of the barrel with wooden barrels anyway. Some have external lids that you kind of pop out from the side, but others, they're kind of set in the top and you have to pry them up. So we're going for that type. We're going for the proper rum barrel. And this is where the Stevie special comes in play. And we're literally just going to form a lid. We're going to clean up our center marks. Now you can also hollow this if you wanted to and make it into a box. We're just going to have our ring just like this. Go, just clean that up. And then I'm just going to take my skew and I'm just going to put a line in there to make it look like the lid is just popped inside. Go. And you'd sand that then, sandy. Take that out, swap it round, and do exactly the same the other side. There we go. Is it this size that adds the chip out? The other side. Doesn't matter. Just look like an old barrel. Now, obviously, you'd burn that side as well to make it look like the full ring. I'll do this side, but just like that. There you go. So it gives it that scorched ring look around the outside. Okay, that's good. That's our big barrel done. And now the last piece. Have we got time to do the last piece?
You got plenty of time, Steve. Have at it.
Good. All right, cool. So I have these round circles of oak that a friend gave me. They're for making whiskey smokers, but perfect for what we're going to do with this. So the whole idea of this is that I'm going to create this to make it look like the top of a barrel. This will be the base. So this will look just like the top of a barrel. This is going to sit on top of that then, like this. Let me zoom this out a bit. And then our other barrels are going to fix inside there, and they're going to sit on top of that. So it looks all like one ornament. Okay. So I'm just going to wind this in slow, just a little bit so it's shut. And just for speed's sake, I'm going to use my chuck as a jam chuck, just as a jam plate. I'm going to guess center. I'm just going to jam that against the chuck. It's a little bit off, but that's all right. We can work with that. I actually had this discussion. I was in the chat of a live on TikTok the other day of how people forget to use different parts of the lathe to help them out. They try and stick to all the traditional stuff. And for instance, the guy I was helping out was turning a top and it broke and he had no way of holding it. He's a very new turner. He doesn't have the proper chucks and things. So I literally just told him to turn down the spindle that it fits into the spindle of his lathe. So he used the inside of the spindle, the Morse hole, as a mortise to hold his piece, and he managed to work it that way. But it's things that people don't tend to think of. You always think that you've got to have all the correct tools, but there are ways around everything. Now this will squeak a little bit because obviously it's not held. It's just done through pressure. I'm just going to clean this up and turn it round. And I'm going to take light cuts for the same reason. All I want to do is round this off. And I'm curving it too, because we want this to look like the top ring of a barrel. That's good, I think. A bit more on that side, and a little bit more that side. There we go. Do a quick sand. Got a little bit of mark there, but it's good enough. Good enough for a country job, as we say here in Ireland.
We say good enough for government work here.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to turn my tool rest round. To the side here. And I'm going to form a tenon. Just a very small one, nothing major. Just so I can hold it. But that tenon will also be the base. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to go with a mortise. I'm just going to clean this front face off. Because it has varnish on it, because it was a tabletop, I believe. No, I changed my mind again. I'm going to make a tenon because it's going to be easier to clean up later on. Okay, so I'm going to go probably about, yeah. So I'm just literally just keeping the same width on the outside. But I'm just turning inwards and I'm creating a very small tenon. This isn't a huge piece of wood. Now that'll be fine. We can clean that up afterwards when we flip it around. Okay, So I'll take that out again. And hopefully, if I've done it right, it should fit into these jaws. I was doing guesswork. Oh, yeah. Good enough for what I want to do. So there we go. Now we're in a chuck. We're not just jammed. We can pull the tailstock away. Bring this in a bit more. And we can create what is going to be the top of, my goodness, top of what's going to be the barrel.
Hey, Steve, I got a question
Yes,
before you get started. How come you don't have one of our logos on your lathe?
because I haven't ordered one yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. You can't say I'm not honest.
No, no worries. I'm just giving you a hard time.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I must order one. But
That's my
to be
goal.
honest with
That's
you,
my goal. That's my goal to have
actually,
our logo on everybody's lathe.
actually, there's a PDF, isn't there, on the
Yes, sir.
website? Yeah, so
Yes,
I might
sir.
I might just laser one and put it just under here.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to create what is the top of a barrel. Okay, so this is the top ring of the barrel. So we're going to come back in here, probably come around about here, and we're going to clean this out just slightly. And I'm going to curve it just slightly into here. I'm going to round this off like it's a band. And I'm just going to clean this off as well because that's still got the varnish on it. Okay. Go a little bit deeper. There we go. And the same thing as I did with the smaller one. I cut in there to make it look like it's a lid. Quick sandy sand, nothing major. I would spend more time sanding, obviously. And then the same as we did with the other one. Do a scorchy scorch. Now remember to bundle your paper up because it does get a little warm. Actually, do
That's
you know
good.
what we'll
Safety
do?
moment.
Actually, do you know what we'll do is we'll do the way that someone mentioned, and we'll do it with a piece of wood. This is just an offcut of just a thin sliver of wood. one side. Now this is oak, so it's a hard grain. There we go. Now it's starting to make the shape that I want. There we go. That's nice. Just give it that old barrel look. See, I love that kind of scorching because it's patchy. It's not all even, but it still looks old. And do you know what? We could even maybe just darken in the inside as well, just for do it with the cloth on the inside.
You definitely use less propane torch doing it that way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, with the propane torch, it's a naked flame as well. So the wood's going to be splitting and cracking. This, you're just putting the tissue takes the majority of the heat. And it's just a direct heat. But again, it's just, I just think it looks more old and antique-y kind of scorched than actually burning it.
Yeah, actually more used. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that is that top. So we'll take that out. And with a bit of luck, I should have enough of a lip on that I can turn this round. If not, it's not any panic. We can do it on the sander. But I might not have put just quite enough of a lip in there. No, I don't think so. No, that's all right. I'll get it on the sander over here. All I want to do is just take that center bit out anyway, because this is flush with the rest. Just that little center bit I want to just sand out. I'll do that over here on the old sander. Hopefully it won't be too loud. That's it. It's sitting flat. Okay, so now it's just a matter of constructing. Take the key out of there before Brenda goes nuts at me. Sue, sorry, safety Sue, saw the chuck key in my chuck and was going, "Arr, grrr, grrr."
Projectile, warning,
Yeah.
warning,
You would have been going like that if it hit you in the head.
danger, danger, imminent.
That's true.
Doctor-
That is true,
doctor
Ruby.
needs medical attention immediately.
So there's one more piece that I've just got to do very quickly that I forgot about, but it's only going to take literally a couple of seconds. Is I forgot to turn another dowel to put between the bottom bottom barrel and the base.
Hey, Steve, can you use the shovel there?
Yeah. I just get my son in to use that. But, oi, get in there and earn your pocket money. I wonder, is that
Right.
going to close down on that?
Mhm.
Oh, I wouldn't be that lucky,
Oh.
would I?
You got the State Farm effect there. Oh, so close.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's why you have the sleeves. Yeah.
I'll use this piece. An old jam chuck with a piece in it. I knew I'd need that one day. It's a tiny little dowel what I've got to make anyway, so sorry if I'm holding you up now.
No, you're fine.
Good. Okay, so it should have my size still on the. I do. Good, good. Go. Just a quick dowel just for assembly. It's great that we can make our own dowels. Real woodworkers have to buy theirs. There we go. Okay, assemble. Blah, 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 blah. Take this out here so we can have a little bit more room. Okay. So I want this barrel to be tilted just slightly. So I say just in the center of there. Long speedio. Look at that. Dowel fits and everything. Now this is very rough and ready, folks, but battery's dying now. I'm gonna have to use the pillar drill now. Yeah, that's perfect. I got it the right height, depth. I mean, that goes in there. Lost my other barrels. There they are. Now I'm going to offset these. I'm not going to put it in the middle either. I'm going to put it up here, I think. So I'm just going to take this over to the pillar drill and drill it because my cordless is a little bit sick.
No worries. And for those not knowing, a pillar drill is akin to our
Oh,
drill press
yeah,
over here.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm using.
No, no, it's fine.
How dare I use English terms?
Hey, it's all right. I spent some time over there, so I know the terminology.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty then. And that's that. There we go. There we go.
Lovely old job, mate.
Sound as a pound, snug as a bug in a
Love it.
rug. There you go. And you can make a little lid there. With the one that I did, I turned a disc and I glued it just offset. So it looked like it was just sitting on top of it. It'd been opened and then it'll be sit on the top. Or you can turn some tiny little pieces of 8 and drop them in, fill it up with little coins. You can do all sorts of things. But that
That's too
is
cute.
that little
That is
project.
cool.
And it's a nice little ornament. And a talking point. I'll lift it up so you can probably see it a bit better.
Steve, that was just like getting a Christmas present.
Yeah,
Believe
well
me.
done, Steve.
That was
That is incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a
really
go.
cool,
Christmas
Steve.
present right there.
Well
Look
done,
at-
Steve.
That was neat.
Another amazing demo by Steve.